Camping at my ranch lake had always been a weekend ritual. A tent, a campfire, and the quiet ripple of water against the shore. A perfect escape from the chaos of everyday life. But one Friday evening, I noticed headlights approaching from the far end of the property. I assumed it was a neighbor stopping by or perhaps a late-arriving fisherman. But as the vehicle drew closer, I realized with a sinking feeling who it was. Karen and her HOA board, armed with flashlights, clipboards, and a level of smug confidence only they seemed to possess. "You're trespassing. We called the cops," Karen shouted as she stormed down to the lake, waving her arms and making a scene. She looked certain that her authority extended to my property, that the lake was somehow under her jurisdiction, and that I had no right to set up camp. I took a deep breath and smiled. "Karen," I said calmly, "this is my property. You're the ones trespassing, not me." Her eyes widened in disbelief. "No, we're enforcing community rules. You can't camp here. This is HOA-regulated land," she insisted, as if chanting bylaws would magically make them legally binding over my land. I could see the cops' headlights in the distance, summoned by Karen's frantic 911 call, and I knew the next few minutes would be critical. I calmly retrieved my property deeds, surveyed maps, and historical records that clearly outlined my lakefront boundaries. When the sheriff arrived, Karen tried to assert control, gesturing wildly at my camp and citing imaginary bylaws. I handed over the documentation, showing the exact coordinates of my property and the long-standing legal rights I held. The officers carefully examined the area, comparing it with the survey maps. They noticed the tracks signs that the HOA team had entered the lake area from a neighboring easement, ignoring posted "no trespassing" markers. The sheriff raised an eyebrow, then looked at Karen. "Ma'am, it appears you're on private property without permission. You're the trespassers here." The realization hit her like a thunderbolt. All her shouting, threats, and attempts to intimidate me were utterly irrelevant. Her supposed authority evaporated the moment the officers pointed out the obvious. I owned the land, and she had unlawfully crossed it to challenge me. The shame on her face was unmistakable as the sheriff continued documenting the incident, writing citations, and instructing her board members to leave immediately. I decided to take full advantage of the situation. I walked the officers through the area, showing where the HOA had tried to enforce rules over time, where they had trespassed previously, and even the secret paths they had used to sneak into my property. Every move was documented, every violation noted, creating a mountain of evidence against them. Karen's frustration became palpable. She shouted, tried to interrupt, but the sheriff politely ignored her, clearly on my side now. After the officers left, I set up additional security measures. Motion-activated cameras, trail cameras along the property line, and private property signage made it clear that any future attempts at intimidation would be recorded in real time. The HOA had underestimated me, and the lesson was now permanently documented. By the end of the weekend, I had fully reclaimed the sense of peace the lake always offered. Karen and her board had not only failed to intimidate me but had publicly exposed themselves as trespassers. The story quickly spread throughout the community, serving as a cautionary tale. Never assume authority where you have none, and never underestimate someone who knows their property, their rights, and their local laws. Now, every time I set up camp by the lake, I smile. Karen tried to turn the situation against me, but her own trespassing became the headline. The lake is mine, the camp is mine, and anyone attempting to challenge that, even the most self-assured HOA president, will quickly learn that on my property, I am the one in control.